Okay, so number 8. Let's continue with number 8. So let me do letter A, f of x, 3 to the x. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the test for symmetry over the y-axis. That means I'm going to set x equals to negative x, and hoping when I substitute, I'm hoping that it will be the same as the original function. Okay, so let's see. Y equals 3. Now I'm going to substitute. And obviously, you know, when we have odd index number here, that means we could pull out the negative outside. So there we got completely, we have different function, as you could see. So he failed the test. Well, let's test for the origin. You know that means what? X is negative x, y is negative y. Okay, so here negative y, negative x, seems like this is going to work. You know, pull it out. Negative, negative turns out to be positive, right? So that's good. So therefore, we conclude letter A is that what? A's got to be function must be what? Symmetry. I'm sorry. That's got to be is odd function. Okay. Let's do number, I'll skip B because that's too easy. So I'm going to skip B and C. I want to do D because D is a bit, it looks very scary. So let's do D. So D, I want to say k of x, negative x to the third power, 3x squared minus 9. Now we're going to run the test for, I'm going to go for the y-intercept first, the y-intercept, I mean y-axis, so that means x has got to be negative x. You see how I build it up with parentheses? Be very careful. Use the parentheses. It makes a whole lot clearer. I know this is going to be negative, so negative times negative will be positive. And I know this is going to be just a positive, which is not the same, so you failed it. Okay, how about the, let's test for origin, right? Test for the origin. So that means here's negative y. Well, we already did it here with the negatives, so here we're going to get 3x squared minus 9. Now, if I want to divide it by negative here, right? So then here turns out to be now positive. You see the negative? I'm going to put it right up here. Which I could bring the negative up there. Which is the same. So therefore, we say this has got to be odd function. Okay, so that was number 8. Right. We're going to skip number 9. Okay. you got to know question number 10. So here I'm going to say 10, letter A. How do we sketch this guy? Well, done. Okay, so you just have to know this. So therefore domain, let me figure out the domain here. Domain will be x is got to be greater than or equal to 0. Why? Well, because we don't have any x value here, but it starts from 0, including 0, and then probably going into the infinity, so that's that. Range, however, as you could see, we don't have any value underneath, so therefore we say greater than 0. Intercept, well here obviously is the x-intercept and of course y-intercept, which is 0, 0. Okay. Now I wanted to add one more. Now suppose this is not on your packet. This is very important. For those who's moving into calculus courses, suppose we have this function. You see how this is not the same as that one, but very similar. In fact, what we here don't have here is positive 2. So we say that this is known as vertical shift. So basically from the origin, we're going to bring the entire function by 2 units. So therefore, this is going to be like this. Okay? So just watch out, functions that has, constant at the end. That means, and there's no any middle term, then, we could either bring it up, or if it happens to be negative 2, then we're going to bring it down by 2 units. Okay? B is also very important. Very popular. 1 over x. You just have to know, and of course, part of the way the way we analyze this function is by using obviously what xy table, right? And you'll be able to come up with this quick sketch. Okay. Now, what will be the domain? Well, domain here, as you could see, that we're going to start talking about this one, but this is here we have vertical asymptotes, where as we approach 0 in both directions, as you could see, if we're coming from the right hand side, as you could see, the y value is increasing. As we approach from the left hand side, as you could see, y value is decreasing. But interestingly, it will never become 0 y value wise. So therefore, as far as the domain is concerned, you're going to say all real, but x cannot be equal to 0. Okay. Range, however, it will be the same, all real, but y cannot be equal to 0. And obviously, no intercept. Okay. I want to explain C. C is also very important for those who are moving into calculus course. Very popular. It's known as a step function. We all know how to graph absolute value, but here you have to be careful. That absolute value function is predetermined by the domain. In other words, we are only interested in, okay, so let me come up with this graph here. I know absolute value looks something like this. But what we are interested in basically is any x value in between -2 and 0, including -2, not including 0. Again, what we are only interested in is, I get it, absolute value, which is the whole thing, but only, very limited, from 0 to -2. 0 is not included. As you could see, put a circle. 2 is included. I'm going to shade it, close the circle. So that is the first part. Now the second part, here it says x to the third power. Okay, x to the third power, I know how to graph, which is something like this. Okay. However, we are only interested in what? Greater than 0. So here's my sketch. Okay. Now, what will be the domain? Well, domain will be from -2, not including 0, and infinity. So therefore, domain will be -2 to 0. If we want to include -2, you want to use the bracket. If you want exclude 0, then you're going to use parentheses. Okay. And from 0, not including 0, and goes all the way up to the infinity. So that's the domain. Okay. Range seems like anything greater than 0. Right? Makes sense. So here will be simply, okay, intercept, no intercept. Why? Because this is empty. Okay. So, okay, last part of the question, part of the review. I'm just gonna come up with quickly one letter A. This is number 11. Letter A, which is the absolute value function. Well, we all know, I think we briefly talked about this. You first have to understand this guy, which is nothing but, you know, V shape and something like this. Now, from this point, we know -3. I think I already mentioned what -3 represents. That means either you bring it up or bring it down. So we're going to bring it down, the entire function, by how many units? -3 units, right? Okay, so I get that part. Now, what does this positive one do? Well, basically, it's the, as you know, horizontal move. So the way it works is I'm going to say, we're going to move by -1. You see how I set it up equal to 0 and -1? So here, from here, we're going to say right there, and we're going to come up with a victory. So here will be like this, like that. Something like this will be perfectly fine. Okay? Okay. I'm going to do number 2. Now, B, here, you see how we have index is 3. When index is 3, as you know, from the radical, regular radical, we have another one like this. So both direction, and that will be the end. It will be great if you could give me, when x is 1, here will be, you could say index 3, but that's fine. You don't have to do all that detail. Okay. let's do C. Y 2 radical x minus 2 plus 1. Same setting. Here indicate, well, first of all, you need to know, radical x, which is like this, right? So we get that. From there, positive 1 simply means what? We're going to bring the entire function by 1 unit, okay? Now, negative x minus 2 really means, again, this means the horizontal shift. How do we figure it out? We set it to 0. So therefore, we say x equals 2. That means we're going to move 2 units to the right. So therefore, we have something like this. Okay. All right, lastly, D. D is f of x, negative x minus 1 to the third power minus 1. Now, well, first of all, you got to understand this guy. And of course, you got to understand the negative. So simply this means this guy. Simply that means the other way around, right? So we're interested in that one because of the negative right in front of the parentheses. So negative 1 indicates the vertical shift, which is we're going to bring it down by 1 unit. X minus 1, that means horizontal. So therefore, when x is, we'll bring it to the right by 1 unit. So when you put it all together, so it will be down 1 to the right 1, something like this. That should be fine. Okay? All right.